Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday, and you are happily tuned into I'm Making It Happen on the Reef 103.5 FM, with the exception of yours, Nykole Tyson. And we are here on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And on I'm Making It Happen, we discuss how we can make it happen in our minds, bodies, finances, business, and culture, despite the inevitable and not so pleasant. And that's basically to realize that we are able to handle every and any situation that we experience. And today, we're going to be talking about, well, you just have me today, and we're going to talk about New Year, New You. And on and before we get into the details, definitely want to say good morning to everyone in the USVI, St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, the US, let's see, British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts, Nevis, and anywhere you are in the VI and in the Caribbean. Thanks so much for tuning in, as well as all those listening live on reefbroadcasting.com from the east to west coast. Thanks so much for tuning in. And those watching live on Facebook, good morning. I'm Making It Happen. Please do like and share. Also, those watching on Instagram, doing a live on Instagram at also I'm Making It Happen. The letter RU. And so, as I mentioned, you have me today, and just had a guest, but they canceled. They might join us depending on what happens, but if not, I have a topic to discuss. And as you know, I like to, connect with you directly at times. And it seems like, okay, 2025, does it seem like it's going fast to you? Or is it just me? Or it kind of going fast but slow at the same time, because we're still in January, so that feels good. But so much has happened in just this month, I feel, right? And like we're gonna talk about the topic we're gonna talk about is New Year, new challenges. So we all feel like, oh, it is so exciting. We are going into a new year, possibilities. I talked about this, right? In the beginning of the year. And then things happen. Let's use another word for that. Things happen, and that takes us off our course, or we feel like it takes us off our course. And stressful, frustrating, sad, disappointing. In between, we have our good days and good moments. But has anyone experienced some challenges for the year already? And it could be in your business, personal life, interpersonal relationships, work. It could just, all kind of things. And we don't have any control over, certain aspects of our life. We're going to talk about what we can control, and the how we can embrace change and tackle our obstacles, right? Because a lot of times we don't have control over certain aspects, but we have control of how we respond to it. So the topic today is New Year, new challenges, embracing changes and tackling obstacles. All right. And so none of us are exempt from challenges that may occur. And so we're going to talk about that. So when we have a new year, as I mentioned, we feel a surge of excitement. There's a sense of fresh beginnings, and we're ready to take on anything that comes our way. And we create these resolutions I mentioned. We set big goals. We tell ourselves this year, I'm going to make it happen, because that's what we're talking about, making it happen. And how are you going to make it happen? But making it happen does not mean it's going to be easy. It's just going to be simple. It's, just going to go our way. Never, because that's what it talks about. Make it, and you have to create it. So it's not like it just coming my way. It means I have to, despite what's happening, and I say that every time during the show, despite the inevitable challenges, that we can pivot, we can handle, we can deal with the situation and, create something new. And so that's what to talk about. Life happens. And then our, the things that we say that we're going to make happen, it feels like it's a challenge. And so, so we feel like we're going to have a reset button, and we are going to achieve all our aspirations. So it's supposed to be a new year, a new beginning, right? And so I mentioned before, I think when we started the show, one of our first shows for January was like, is it a new year? But is it a new you? Because, in a new everything comes new challenges. And so you can have old ones and new ones, but how do we, show up to deal with that? And so you might say, hey, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to save some money. I'm going to travel. I'm going to take that leap of faith. I'm going to start something new. I am going to stick to these goals. And then everything else starts happening. even though you have this hope of possibility and you feel equipped. But then things get real, and no matter how much we plan or how motivated we feel, life throws us off track sometimes, and we hit bumps in the road. And those resolutions, they start to feel, or those goals that we said we're going to hit, because I don't really like to call them resolutions, those daily goals that we said we're going to hit and stay on track for the year, they seem a little bit more difficult to keep. And that's okay. It's part of the journey. And so we're in the last few days of January, and we're going to reset for February. Okay. So get your caps on, take your notes or whatever, or just get rejuvenated in this conversation. If you've been experiencing some challenges, I saw on a friend's Facebook page that they're experiencing challenges, new year, and a lot has happened for them. I know it's not just them, also myself. I'm not exempt. And then, other individuals, because we still have some of the same things from last year in this year. And then new things have occur because, that's just life. And so when I saw their post, I was like, okay, I'm in line with, I think, with what's, might be some of interest, because, there was I had a guest, and then to think, okay, what to discuss. And I feel like I talked about so many, I've talked about, there's always it's like a challenge for myself to be like, what's new, what to share. And sometimes I feel like I've spoken on the same things, but sometimes you just have to have the conversation again. And so I found that, okay, well, it seems like I'm on the right track, because I saw their post, and we discussed. Actually, I was able to talk with them briefly before the show, and just talking about, like, we have expectations. We think it's going to go one way, but then it doesn't go that way that we think it's supposed to go. And like, how are we going to deal with it? And then we put blame on other people and other situations, and the government and the president and the governor and senators. And, sometimes we just, there is some inclusion or things they can do, but ultimately we have to take responsibility for our lives, because at the end of the day, we're the ones waking up with ourselves, looking at ourselves in the mirror. So we're going to talk about how we can take control of that. You see, no matter how much we wish things could go according to plan, sometimes life has other ideas. We face limitations, hurdles, and sometimes roadblocks we didn't see coming. And you know what? That is okay, because here's the thing: life doesn't teach us how to deal with these challenges. So don't take it like, like, woe is me, oh my God, it's just me. No, it's not just you. We all have, all experienced challenges. School doesn't prepare us for these situations either. If that's the biggest thing, we should have these life, how to deal with life in school. And as things evolve, conflict resolution, but we're not talking about conflict resolution. We're talking about life, dealing with life. It didn't prepare us for the moments that don't go the way that we think they should go. Because we find ourselves in situations that we have no control of, and dealing with people that, have different mindsets. But that doesn't mean we can't learn how to face them. Okay. So it's not about avoiding the challenges. It's about learning how to handle them when they show up. And that's what making it happen is about. Because life doesn't get better. It gets better, but you get better. I think when you get better with yourself, you are able to deal with challenges better. And so putting things into place that can help when these things occur, things are not happening the way you think they should, it could be extreme to loss of a loved one, to loss of a job, or just in between. Challenges occur in your business, at work, relationship, and it could be a professional, a familial, or romantic, right? And so we all experience different things. So we just have to work on ourselves. And while life may not change, we can. And it's all about, as I mentioned, getting stronger, better, and more resilient within ourselves. And there was something when I was younger, I would say, I would like to be, I forget the word I used to use, but I realized that I started to, just work on my mind and how to think about certain situations and respond to certain situations. And sometimes you just gotta let things go and people go and focus on yourself, because like the airplane, it says you gotta put your oxygen on yourself. If you don't, then you can't help anybody else. And so we might not have the things bent to our will, but we can change the way we respond, and the way we respond, things will change. We can change the way we experience everything around us. I was listening to an audio yesterday, and it says that we don't experience life experience life, we experience what we focus on. And it sounds easier said than done, but it was like so profound to me, because sometimes, we focus on things that happened years ago, days ago, weeks ago, minutes ago. And if you just change the way your focus, you'll see, like, really right in this moment. If you don't think about the past, and then you don't think about the future, but you think about, like, right now, for most people, you're fine. Things are good, right? You have food to eat, you have the roof over your head, you may have a job, or some ways or your business, you have a way of income coming in, or your family's healthy. So, like, right in this moment, if you take a moment and be like, okay, how are things happening, like, right now? If I don't think about the past, or argument, or interaction, or disappointment, or whatever, right, that may have happened, that is upsetting, reasonably upsetting. If I don't think about that, and I just focus on, like, right now, and I don't think about, oh, well, what if this happens, and or if this does not happen, or what can happen, you know but I think about just right now, you could get a sense of peace of, like, okay, right now I'm okay, and not thinking about or focusing on anything else. And then you get centered. Okay, what do I have control over? Do I have control over that person's reaction? Do I have control over this person at the job? Do I have control over whatever that could be with you, right? You apply to yourself. We all are different. We all have our own experiences. No, you don't have control over that. The only thing you have control over is your present situation, or your present moment. And what's the best next step that you can take for yourself that your future self would be happy about, right? It might not be something that's other people might agree with, or you feel happy about. But if this is the right best next step for yourself, then that's what you need to do, and then take the next best step. And so, even though we started in this year, like I said, you're just joining us, we're talking about new year, new challenges, and what we can do to embrace the change, because change is inevitable. We cannot stop change. The only thing that's constant is change. Every single minute, every single day, no day is the same. And so what we focus on is what the experiences we're going to have. And you can actually not focus on something that really was excruciating, upsetting, and just change your perspective on it. And we're going to talk about, like, the changes, the challenges. Sometimes they are positive. We can use that to our advantage. And most of the times, if you look at, like, inventions and different things that people actually experience negatively, but they turned it around to be positive in the end, is because there was a challenge and they had to pivot. And so that's just about what we have to do. New year, new challenges, and pivoting while things are happening, and looking at this is what we have to deal with, and then what's the next best steps. All right, so that's the conversation. I'm going to talk about some more, like, details on how we can what things we can apply for the new year, in the new year, the new challenges that we inevitably going to experience. I have experienced my own, of course. And then I know of other individuals that have so many things happening, and you would not believe some of the things that they've experienced. And it has to do with people. And of course, always people in business, people in just regular stuff. And you just have to come back to how are you going to respond. All right. You have no control over others. But it's just, like, so wild, some of the situations. I might mention one of them. And the person is really handling it very well, I can say. So I might share that story when we come back from the break. And just to let you know, other people are dealing with so many situations, right? Like, you could blame them for how they respond or not responding, but what do you have control over, and making sure that you're doing your best in the situation at the moment to mitigate whatever. And so thanks for tuning in, if you're near and far. Before they take a break, I want to really keep hearing the computer or something in the ear, and want to remind you, Carlos Furniture is still your number one furniture store in the USVI, British Virgin Islands, and they're open 7 days a week, located in Petersburg, St. Croix, and Tutu Park Mall, St. Thomas. They have all of your decorative items, as well, of course, your appliances, furniture for your bedroom, bathroom, living room, and more. A lot of big sales still happening within the two locations in St. Thomas and St. Croix for Carlos Furniture. Also, let's see, Best Home, Quality Auto Parts located near Sunny Isles also has their hours of operation daily, and you can give them a call at 340-778 5462 if you have any questions about any auto part needs. That's Quality Auto Parts. Okay, so we're gonna take a break, and when we get back, we continue the conversation regarding new year, new challengers. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay, yeah. So thank you and for tuning in to I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson on the Reef. And so if you're with me before the break, you'll know we're talking about new year, new challenges. And of course, we're still in January, but it feels like so much has happened in a short period of time. But if you feel like so much is happening in a short period of time for this month, that means you're moving, right? You're not staying in one place. So things are bound to happen, frustrating things. And some things we have control over, some things we don't. And so we're talking about new year, new challenges, embracing change, and tackling obstacles. And so I talked about just how it feels when you start a new year, what you're expecting, the possibilities, and then you get a wrench. They call it a monkey wrench in this book, in the wheel, right? Or a roadblock, and things are not going as planned. Big, and I know some people have some big stuff that happened this year already, and then it could be minor, smaller, but they all are upsetting. What's your next step? So we're going to talk about how to possibly handle some of these challenges. I'll tell you a story. So I know someone that's doing some work, some business stuff, and some people, they hired a company to do some work. This company damaged their goods. And because they trusted this company, or they are so trusting in people, unfortunately, can't always be. You gotta really cover yourself. And the individuals, the company said they were going to handle the damages to this certain item, and it's a huge item, piece of equipment or whatever. And they took their word for it. And guess what? Now they're saying that it never happened and denying any coverage for this huge piece of equipment. And demanded their money. They got their money, now rejecting any insurance coverage, right? And then to come to find out, the company forged signatures of saying the product was in good condition. This is in the States, not local. So this has happened in the States. I just know about it. So, and some other individuals that are involved. So it's a huge situation, and it was a lot of equipment coming through. It was supposed to be coming through to the VI. So now it's kind of halted, but they're in good spirits because even though it's a lot and it's kind of put a spoke in the wheel, I feel like they've been handling it very well. And learning, again, is people, and just taking the next best steps to deal with what's happening. Who would think, that some people would just lie like that? I would never think like that, so blatant. But they have a witness, and so they're going to handle it. So that's just one area in a person's business, right, that have to deal with other individuals, and now it's being more costly to handle, but will be dealt with. But that's just one aspect of someone having expectations, anticipation that they covered as much as they had in control, but now you're dealing with other individuals, and now learning what's the next best step and how to deal with business moving forward when you deal with people. All right, so just want to give you that, and I know that it was very frustrating for the person, but it's been interesting to see that they've been handling it well. All right, so now talking about dealing with these situations that may occur. We talk about setting clear goals, seeking support, adaptability, being adaptable, having persistence, celebrating the small wins and staying positive while you go through these situations. So, first things first, let's talk about setting clear goals. Make sure you know what you're trying to achieve. Sometimes obstacles feel overwhelming because we're not even sure what the end goal looks like. It's like trying to run a race without knowing where the finish line is. So you got to take a step back sometimes and set a clear, measurable goal. When something's occur that you feel like you should have, or step back, take a breather, start writing down what are your intentions, what are the results you're looking for, and start creating measurable goals. Break them down into smaller, more manageable tasks, and that way, when things get tough, you're not staring at a massive mountain and you're just looking at a series of little hills you can climb one at a time. All right. So example, if you're trying to lose weight, don't just say, and I've said this before, don't just say I want to get healthier. I instead say I'll work out 3 times a week, or I'll eat a veggie at every meal. And those small goals are easier to stick to and keep you motivated. And then you have to talk about the smaller wins, because even though like something may happen that you get off the track, say, okay, at least I did it for a day. Now let me see if I can continue 2 days. So that's just talking about like, a goal. But like, when a spoke is in your wheel, how to stay positive, right? So that's talking about a goal, but we're going to talk about now staying positive and focusing on what you can control. And I just got a message. It's the straw that broke the camel's back and finding a needle in a haystack. Thank you for that. Let me see if we have people listening. All right. So finally, I can stress. So we can talk about staying positive and focusing on what you can control. So you can stress. I can't stress this enough. Doing your best to stay positive. When I spoke to somebody this morning, I said, look, go to the beach. Go drink some coconut water. Take your mind off of whatever is stressing you. Because obstacles can feel like a dark cloud hanging over us, right? But by focusing on things you can control, you can regain your power. A lot of times we feel out of control, overwhelmed, because we're focusing on the things we don't have control over. So what I can share is like, what helps me is like, okay, well, shucks, this is happening. What the heck, right? But what do I have control over? And I mentioned it already. So focusing on what you can control, you start to regain your power. And you can't control every circumstance, but you can control how you respond. And positive thinking isn't just some feel good mantra. It can literally change the way you approach challenges. So, as I mentioned in the past, we have overcome 100% of the challenges we've experienced because we're still here. So whatever might have happened in the past, you were able to overcome it or get through it. And so whatever you're experiencing now, you're definitely going to get through it because you have a track record. And your track record shows that you're still here. You're still making it happen. You're still standing. And you got through whatever those past really upsetting, disappointing experiences that you had in the past. So in the present, it's going to improve as well. And so say you lose your job. That's a big obstacle. And I can attest to those who know part of my story know that I experienced that in 2018. That's a huge obstacle. I said nothing that I did. That was a huge obstacle. But if you look at the challenges of pivoting, seeing like what you have control over, and actually sometimes it's actually in your benefit. Sometimes things happen and you think it's going to be a negative thing, but it makes you go in another direction that is even better for you. And I can attest to that personally. So just focusing on the things you can do, updating your resume, reaching out to contacts, learning a new skill, you put yourself back into the driver's seat, asking who do you know? And then maybe sometimes it's not even getting another job. And I tell people it may be starting your own business. Be it small as it may be, it can get into something bigger. And so that can be something like we hear in a lot of things right now. But I was listening to the radio and different, of course, with changes in administrations right now in the US, people might be losing their positions. Now pivoting, hey, start working on something that you really wanted to do. And creating an income that way. I know of an individual that came out of jail and instead of looking for a job, he couldn't find a job. He started a business. He said he created a job for himself and doing very well. So, what you have control over. Sometimes it's not asking for um, acceptance is just creating your own, right? And so that I can say in regards to the challenges that may occur, arise, that how you can get a sense of control back in a feeling of control or progression is focusing on what you have control of and taking the next best step. All right. Um, yeah. And so thanks for tuning in and I'm making it happen. I think I'm going to take another break. And when I get back, I have some more like tips on, tackling the obstacles, embracing the change of the challenges that we are inevitably experiencing or going to experience in 2025. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. Listen to I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson on the Reef. And so if you were with me before the break, you know we're talking about new challenges. No, new year, new challenges. It's inevitable. Can't get away from it. And I had a conversation with somebody. Again, I think I mentioned it on the radio, but I said, look, the only people that don't have challenges, they're 6 feet under. All right. And so if you're above ground, it's a good thing. And you're gonna have something's gonna happen that's not gonna be perfect. And nobody has it perfect. All right. And like I was mentioning, it's a straw that, let me see what the comment was. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. So you could be dealing with so much. You say you're doing so good. You're dealing with so much pressure. And it could be like the smallest thing, like this morning, coming here. I had, different things at the pivot because the guest that I had said they wasn't coming. So I had to, change up what I was going to talk about and, be able to talk and make sense, right? And so I just had to shift a lot of things, and I had to take a call, had to take off an earring, and while I'm driving, I realized I don't have the earring in my ear. So that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I was like, look, I dealt with everything. I make sure I have everything in the car so I could do my live on the Facebook and Instagram, and I have all this stuff, and I just forget my earring on the counter, and I looked at everything. So sometimes that the smallest thing, like that's really small and minor. I just took out the ear and put it in the bag. I'm not gonna have earrings today right now, but it could be like set you off sometimes because it's like, oh, it's one more thing, right? And so you're talking about but you're dealing with so many other things, and then it's the smallest thing that just like can set you off at times. But persistence it's all about persistence as well, even when it's tough. Because sometimes the biggest obstacle is that feeling of wanting to give up when things get hard. And it's like, look, forget this. You could use another word. I'm done. All right. But persistence is what sets the successful apart. It's not about doing things perfectly. It's about just getting back up one more time. Les Brown says it's not if you can, it's as long as you can look up and get up, you have a chance to still, make it happen. It's about showing up even on the days you don't feel like it. And maybe taking a break. Sometimes you just got to take a break. And it's the new year, but it's not a marathon. It's not a what is it? What do you say? It's a marathon. It's not a short race. So think of someone you admire, whether it's a celebrity, an athlete, or someone in your community. They're probably facing a lot of obstacles, but you just don't know about it. But what makes them stand out is their ability to keep pushing forward when most people would give up. And so, athletes, they have so many challenges. Celebrities, they have a lot of challenges. People in leadership positions, they have a lot of challenges. And so it's not easy for anybody. And that's how I started when I started the show, I'm Making It Happen. And when I started the video aspect online, I was like to show people that everybody has challenges, but it's all a mindset and how to keep moving forward. And to show how, different people make it happen, because no one has it easy. All right. But it is a mindset and a way to, be strategic in regards to moving forward with different aspects of, the challenges that we experience. And so when we do, sometimes we experience all of these different challenges, we can forget about celebrating the small wins. And the trick of a lot of people that a lot of people miss is that celebrate your progress along the way. Give yourself that break, that snack, that whatever reward for whatever you may give yourself a pat on the back for, because it's not perfect. We're not perfect. We don't live in a perfect world. And so just take a break, because sometimes we slip back in certain situations. But as long as you have your breathing, you have life, you always have a possibility to improve. And so it's just taking a step back and saying, okay, well, I did do this good. And or I can do this better in this aspect. And then how am I going to do that? And um it takes some time to create the habits or to get yourself in a position or mindset that you can able to move forward and deal with these challenges powerfully. But you got to start from somewhere, and that's just what it takes to start from somewhere and keep moving. So tackling obstacles can feel like a marathon, but if you don't take a moment to acknowledge your small victories, you might burn out. You will burn out before you even get to your destination. So all the wins counts. Make sure you're recognizing yourself. Don't wait for someone to recognize you. I put on my post on Facebook a while ago is that I'm proud of me, right? Sometimes you want people to tell you that, but really you got to tell yourself that. For all the things that you've been through, things some people might know of, and others, most of them don't even know. And so you know for yourself what you have to, deal with every day, and that is not easy. And so give yourself some time, celebrate the small wins, take that break, reward yourself. If you're working on a big project at work, take a moment to acknowledge when you've completed the milestone, even if it's just finishing one section of it. Pat yourself on the back and take a breather before moving on. And then let's see, and that would help you to overcome the feeling of, whatever frustration, sadness, feeling of giving up, and just knowing that we're all in the same. We all experience challenges. Like I said, I saw a friend's page, Facebook page, and they said, I can't remember the exact words, but basically like a lot has happened in the year, and people were posting, but it's only the 28th day of the year, which was yesterday. I saw the post, and yeah, a lot of people are experiencing a lot of things because life doesn't stop. But adaptability is key, and support is key. So we're going to talk about that in a few moments. Seeking support and setting clear goals, as I mentioned, and being adaptable, talking about being flexible, and just allowing life to be, because we say, well, we get rigid and resistant and like, it shouldn't be this way, it should be that way. This person shouldn't be acting this way, they should be being this way. I expected this to go this way, but it's going that way. And so with all of that, you got to be flexible, and you got to be empathetic, compassionate with yourself and others, because life isn't a straight line, although we think, and life isn't always black and white, although we think it should be. Plans change, things happen, and sometimes the path you thought you were on takes an unexpected turn. It's easy to get frustrated when things don't go as planned, but this is where adaptability comes in. When you face an obstacle, ask yourself, how can I adjust? What's the next best thing I can do? The next best step. All right. Example. Say you're working toward a promotion at work, but then your company downsizes. You think you're going to get that promotion, and then now you don't even have a position. And that opportunity vanishes. Rather than giving up, look for other ways to grow. As I mentioned, maybe there's another department you can learn from, or perhaps it's time to look outside your current company for opportunities, or it's time to just start your own, create your own opportunity, start a business. All right. And so being adaptable, pivoting, as I always mention, and sometimes the challenges that we experience, it just makes us like look at another way of handling things that might be better. And I found that to be in so many aspects of my life, is that if certain things didn't happen, then I wouldn't have taken certain actions. If certain people didn't act a certain way, then I might not have sought this other, route, right? And then that route was even better. And so when you think it's an obstacle, actually it's just a detour to get to where you want to be, but in a different way. And sometimes that's even better. It just feels sometimes that it's, what is it called? It is, Lord, I hate when you have to talk thing. It's just a spoke in your wheel. Like, I'm not thinking it gets in the way of you getting to where you want to be faster. I can't think of the word right now, but but it might be a better route for you. And and with that, and sometimes you do need to seek support. No one said you have to get it all done alone, and sometimes you need to have your confidence and have those conversations with people you trust and share what your challenges may end also, and maybe just you need to talk, or they can provide support. We're not superheroes. No man is an island, and sometimes we need to embrace other people's assistance. All right, reach out to people who can help you, whether it's friends, family, a mentor, or even a support group. Having a support system means you have someone to lean on when the going gets tough, or when they can offer perspective or advice, or even giving comforting word. Sometimes you just gotta vent, and that helps, just makes everything feel much better. And so think about your own circle. Who can you turn to when you're feeling stuck? Maybe someone who's been through something similar, or someone who simply listens without judgment. So let me tell you, this is really small, but it was like when you talk about the needle and the what's one is that? I gotta look at the comment about okay, straw that broke the camel's back. So I was having a frustrating time, like a lot of different stresses, trying to get things done. Things aren't working out as I wanted to happen. And then one of my dogs get out in my yard. It is fenced, and my dog keeps escaped a couple times. And oh my God, I was just like, you know what, forget that. You can stay out there. And it was just like one other thing added. And I texted someone that were watching my dogs when I was away, because the same thing happened to them. And I let them know, hey, this is what happened. The dog got out again. And so I was like, told them, you're the only person I messaged like immediately, because really no one would have understood my frustration and what it takes to get a dog back. And they messaged, and they actually at the same time were messaging each other. The person said the same thing, like, yeah, you would message me, I would think, because I'm the only one that knows that, the frustrating about it. And so sometimes you just gotta talk to somebody that has a similar experience as you might, and that won't be a judgment, that and that will listen without judgment. And so that's a seeking support. So that's a minor thing when you look back. Oh, that's so small, right? But when it compounds onto everything, it just compounds. Something is like one thing after the next. Something's happening, something's happening, something happening. And then, like I said, the little straw that just like makes you like lose it. All right. And so we're talking about New Year, New You. It is January 29th. And very it's exciting times, and can be from frustrating times, because like I said, things are happening, people are dealing with challenges, big or small, giving you support to keep moving, keep pushing, keep making it happen. Seek the support you need. Be flexible and adaptable. Keep persisting even when it's tough, and know that you are not alone, or that it's just you. Everybody's dealing with something. And celebrate the small wins. Make sure you're taking the time to reward yourself. And what we all want to do is have some semblance of like peace, happiness, and fulfillment. And so make sure that you're taking the time to like appreciate where you are, and focusing again on what you have control over right now. Because if you think about it, if you don't think about the past, and you don't think about the future, or what can happen, or what won't happen, or what you think about right now. What do I have? And write that out, and meditate and appreciate, and be grateful for that. Then you can focus on and add to how you can improve the situation. And just getting yourself out of whatever you might be thinking of can give you some more new perspectives of how to handle the situation. All right. And so that is what I have today. Let me tell you, it was cold. I was in the States. I was in Miami, and it was cold. I'm so happy to be back. I was complaining about 72 degrees the other night. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I took out my so I'm pivoting, because we talked about making it happen despite the issues, the challenges. But just to let you know, embrace. If you're in the VI in the Caribbean, we have great weather. It's so happy to be back. I'm always happy to be on St. Croix, despite the issues that people, we feel that we have. There's no other place I want to be. There's a conversation I want to have at some point that, yeah, despite the challenges we have, this is the best place to live. Let me think. Where was I? That I was talking with somebody and they moved back because their children preferred here than the States. And that's the reason why they came back. And like, how much better it is for our children. And I do believe that. And so, just got to be back home as always. And I just want to give you something midweek, Wednesdays, the hump that, just keep pushing, keep making it happen. We all have things that we have to deal with. But you're going to make it through. We're all going to make it through. All right. And so I appreciate everyone for tuning into the I'm Making It Happen show with yours exceptionally, Nykole Tyson. And I have to say that my mom, I think they were saying Mr. P's birthday was yesterday. My mom is today. And so I'm very happy for my mama. And she's doing well. Everybody always asks about her. And so, I just appreciate my mom very much. I've spoken of the challenges and, just glad that we can all, be able to celebrate life and another year, right? Despite the challenges that we all go through. And so just keep that in your mind that, we have life, we have health, and we have strength. And once you have that, then you can keep making it happen. And so we talked about, the challenges, being a new year, new you, shifting, pivoting, getting the support you might need, having those conversations you might need to have to vent, setting your goals, adapting, being flexible, persisting, celebrating the small wins, and of course, continue to make it happen because it's not easy. Life is a marathon. That's the word I was looking for. It's not a sprint. That is what I was looking for. Yeah, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. All right. And so when in a marathon, you got to take the break sometimes. You got to drink your water. You got to switch out the shoes. I know people that have to do those marathons, like it is, you got to think long term, for the long run, not like, the dash. And so just think, we're all figuring it out. We're all learning. We're all practicing life, if you could think about it, because nobody gave us a roadmap or a book to deal with life and people. And so don't be so hard on yourself and take that break. And only people that don't have challenges, as I mentioned, they're 6 feet under. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in to I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson. Also want to remind you that, Caribbean Closeouts located behind of the Lorraine laundromat. They are open. They have a lot of cool items in there at very low prices. If you want to talk about a dollar store, that is a dollar store. That is a real dollar store on the island. So go check them out. You might have to rustle through some things because you can't expect a dollar store to be like, perfect. But go check it out. You might have to, sift through some things, but I'm sure you're going to find something that you like or that, you find like, oh my God, I cannot not buy this for this price. That's Caribbean Closeouts behind the Lorraine laundromat. All right. On St. Croix. And so let's see. And again, I mentioned Carlos Furniture and as well as Quality Auto Parts. And so I appreciate you. Keep making it happen. I'll see you guys next month. All right. Guess what? Next month is next week. Or actually, I think Saturday. So I'll see you guys next month. Same time, same place. On the Reef, 103.5 FM. You can find me actually check out my website, I'mMakingItHappen.com. You can find us on Facebook at I'm Making It Happen, and then also on Instagram at I'm Making It Happen, the letter R and the letter U. And I appreciate all of you. Keep making it happen. Be safe. And as I always say, have an amazing rest of the day and week. We'll connect again on next week, Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. If you don't see something happening, create it. Be the change. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines. And remember, it's about you, me, we. So make it happen.